What's going on, everybody? It's Rich Perez welcoming you back into another dose of your weekly rundown. This is 2021 edition. Of course, joining with me as always, my guy, my co-host all the way from the U, Kayson Davis. How you doing, Kay? And how was your new year, man?
Good. I mean, I ain't really do nothing. It's not much you can do right now. But happy to make it out of 2020. Crazy year. But how was yours?
It was good, man. Got to hang out with the family and everything, as much as you can because of everything that's going on. But it was good, man. I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
Good. That's good. Well, hopefully this is a better year for everybody.
I got a good feeling about it, man. Even with the pandemic still going on around us, I really do. It's the only way you can go, right? Well, let's get started with the show, though, man, because you guys do see the caption. NFL playoffs are finally here. The NFL got through their season. A lot of people said it wasn't going to happen. It couldn't happen. Look at the things that can happen with when you have money, though. So the NFL got through it, 17 weeks of professional football. And in 2020 fashion, it ended very crazy. But let's start off. We'll get to the Giants first because we've been talking about them a lot. So for the Giants, it was almost a win and get in situation. The only issue was if you won, you had to hope that Washington would lose. So that was their offense. That was the best that I had seen them since Daniel Jones got hurt. Even including the game that they won against Seattle when Colt McCoy started. See, we were waiting for that, and he lied to the public. By the way, he was saying he was planning on playing out of the pocket. He ran out the pocket a couple of times. Looked pretty good. Unfortunately, it was too little, too late because they kind of took their destiny out of their own hands. They were in first place and couldn't hold on to it. So, it was unfortunate for them. And then we got the Sunday night football game. It's straight NFC East out here. So Washington goes out and plays the Philadelphia Eagles. They go out to a 10-0 lead early. And then Jalen Hurts goes out there and brings them back into it. They're up 14-10. Washington gets the ball back. They're able to score a field goal to make it 17. Excuse me. I'm definitely very wrong about that. Washington's able to go out there and put themselves up 17-14. Then the Eagles get the ball back and get back into the red zone on third down. They get to fourth down. Excuse me. They get to fourth down and they go for it. Now, if they kick the field goal, game is tied. I'm not going to kill you for going for it. You want to get aggressive. You want to get aggressive. It's still a close game. It wasn't. I don't even know if it was I don't believe it was in the fourth quarter yet at the time. But they go for it, miss it. It's 17-14. Next thing you know, Doug Peterson benches Jalen Hurts for Nate Sudfeld, their third string quarterback who has been there for multiple years now because in a tight game against a divisional rival, they want to give a guy who they pretty much know what they have a look. Now, people know I'm a Giants fan and whatnot. Cool. This is not me being salty at all when it comes to Washington. I'm looking at this from an analyst point of view. You have a quarterback that you are trying to evaluate as much as possible to see if he's your guy of the future. And this is the whole reason why you bench Carson Wentz. This is the exact game that could tell you if he's a guy you can move forward with. Literally. It's a tight game, end of the season, divisional rival. Can he put you up against them? Eli Manning was actually in the same situation his rookie year. This is the type of stuff that lets you know what you have in a guy. No, they want to go with Nate Sudfeld for reasons beyond all of us. Well, I have a feeling I know. I think you do too. They wanted to tank, right? They wanted to go from the 9th pick to the 6th pick. What a doozy, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Oh yeah.
No. Go ahead. I got a bunch to say. But go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it could be that, yeah, they most likely wanted to tank, or maybe they just didn't want the Giants to get in. It could be one of those things where, the Eagles and the Giants is a big rivalry, so they're like, we'd rather have the Washington football team get in than see Big Blue get in there.
Look, that makes sense too. But you know why I don't agree with that? Because not even a week before this game, their defensive coordinator told the media, we're not going to let someone put on hats and T-shirts on our field. And this is a divisional rivalry. This is a divisional game against Washington that you got here. And that's exactly what happened. They got to celebrate right in front of you guys on the field. You know, I'm actually going to say something that a lot of people haven't said. And just watching how Doug Peterson has moved a little bit when it comes to Jalen Hurts. I actually think Doug Peterson doesn't really believe in Jalen Hurts like a lot of other people do. He was, you know, not quick at all to name him the starter, not quick at all to give him a lot of first team reps and things like that. Never really gave him a ton of praise this whole time. What Doug Peterson did with Jalen Hurts, and by no means am I comparing Jalen Hurts to this player, because he's shown to be a much better pro than this guy. But what I saw from Doug Peterson and Jalen Hurts was very similar to what I saw from Jay Gruden and Dwayne Haskins in Washington a year ago. And we all knew that Jay Gruden didn't want Dwayne Haskins. That was came from upstairs decision to bring Dwayne Haskins to Washington in that draft.
Maybe this is.
But that's just one thing that I noticed there.
I mean, that's possible, but maybe it's just a thing where he's kind of, treating him like a rookie. So, like sometimes when you come in, some older coaches and stuff like that try to keep that kind of tradition where you kind of treat a rookie like a rookie. He kind of has to earn his dues in the league, but still, like you said, this was kind of a game where he can go out and kind of show what he can do. So, in that sense, I kind of see where you're coming from, because at the same time, it's like even if you do still kind of want to make him earn his dues, this was kind of the game where he could earn them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and by the way, the only reason that Philly was in that game the whole time was because of Jalen Hurts, with his ability to run the ball the way that he does. He was confusing the heck out of Washington's defense a little bit. Well, not really confusing it, but throwing them off a bit. So and then you want to go pull them. That's really my issue with it. From Philly's standpoint, it makes zero sense, because you're trying to evaluate this guy and find out exactly what you have. This is the perfect situation to do it. And, again, not looking at it from a Giants perspective at all. The Giants made their bed. Like I said earlier, they had it in their hands. They messed it up. They needed more than 6 wins. They weren't able to do that. So nobody's feeling bad for the Giants at all here. Obviously, a lot of people are salty over there. I know you saw. I don't know if you saw Joe Judge's press conference the day after the season was over. He definitely took shots at Philadelphia without naming names. But what Joe Judge said was what a lot of people were saying throughout the entire time.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because like I said, a lot of people seen it as maybe they just would rather have Washington get in than have the Giants get in. So it's one of those things where it's like, even with what he kind of said and what his reason was for taking him out, it kind of doesn't make sense, because you have a young quarterback like we were just talking about. So everything that you can try to shape it and maybe point it this way, that way, it just kind of seems like the Eagles just didn't want to let the Giants get in. So it could just be one of those things, because like we talked about on here before, a lot of times that like in the NFL, that's not like a league where people tank. So, like, to see them kind of just tank a couple games is kind of interesting. So, in that type of sense, like, if it was the NBA, then maybe you'd be more like, they're tanking for a draft pick and things like that. But in the NFL, like, they don't tank as much. So, it really just looks like they didn't want the Giants to get in. And you brought up the comment about him, the assistant coach, saying that they didn't want no one celebrating on their floor. So, it's like, I guess they got to the point where it's like, would you rather have people celebrate on your floor or have the Giants get in? And obviously, we see which one they might have picked.
I just can't see what it. The other thing, Carl Banks, the Giants legend, actually said it. Like he echoed the same sentiments I echoed when it comes to the Giants. There's nothing to feel bad about. They made their bed or whatever. He actually said he thinks Doug Peterson did that as a way to be like, I don't just fire me. I don't even want to be here.
That could be interesting. I don't know if anyone just wants to lose their job. I mean, I guess if he doesn't want to be there, but
it's been a tough situation over there. it's been a tough situation in Philly with, we've heard a lot of reports on the tension between him and Carson Wentz that, he's not really able to do his job because Carson Wentz doesn't even listen to him. He just kind of takes the offense into his own hands, and we see how that's went.
Yeah, but now he has a new quarterback. So with a new quarterback that probably will listen to him, I don't see why maybe you would, one, not want to play him, and two, kind of just leave your job over it. If you got a new quarterback and kind of solve some of those issues, it's kind of like give that guy a shot first before you kind of just give up on the whole team, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird situation. Like I said, it made no sense to me. And, when Jalen Hurts first got to play, got to play under center for Philly. Like the Philadelphia Eagles actually started looking very good. You know what I mean? And then that's when we started saying, "Oh, look, like Doug Peterson actually can coach." So it makes no sense. It makes no sense to me for a lot of reasons, but the main one definitely is you have a young guy here that you're trying to evaluate to say, is this our guy or isn't? And that was the perfect situation to do it. And you pull him in a tight game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, well, no one can really know what the decision was over there but them. But to me, it definitely looks like they just didn't want the Giants to get in, it is what it is at that point.
It is what it is. It just still makes zero sense. And obviously the other thing was the integrity of the game and all that. I know people brought up, again, going back to the Giants when, they played against the Patriots. And it's just like you have no reason to be playing as hard as you are. Like, what are you playing for? Coughlin said, no, we're going to go play. That's what they did. And, made it tough for the Patriots. They lost, got revenge in the Super Bowl that same season. But, it's just bad. Like, look, man, number one, I don't agree with tanking in the NFL. There's no evidence ever in the history of the NFL to show that tanking in the NFL works. We got plenty of examples of that. And then also, this game got flexed to Sunday Night Football. Like, this was the game that was going to end the season, right? So it's like disrespect to Washington from the standpoint that you just gave it away. I mean, maybe Washington doesn't care, whatever. But then, like, everybody's watching. You know what I mean? And obviously he sat guys to begin with. But, like, at least we could have got, like, a nice ending to the season. We couldn't even get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even with Hurts going out there and playing, they still might have lost the game. So it's not like a guarantee that they would have won the game. So, like,
at least it would have been a better product.
Yeah, so I'm saying, like, he could have went and played him, and they still could have lost the game. So, like, really taking him out was like they really, really was kind of maybe trying to lose the game. So it's like you said, it's just crazy to see.
Yeah, I mean, NFC East, man. What are you gonna do? So, the New York Jets, after a tumultuous season, we thought they were going to have the perfect season, 0-16, but then they go out and they upset the Rams and then also beat the Browns to solidify the number 2 pick in the draft. They went out and they fired Adam Gase. Long overdue. He should have never been named the head coach to begin with. It was just not good from the start. He was supposed to be this quarterback guru and everything. Sam Darnold never developed under him. There was never any creative schemes being drawn up or anything creative in the offense there with Adam Gase doing the play calling and everything like that. But he's gone. Joe Douglas and the Johnsons have a crazy decision ahead of them as far as who are they going to bring in. I know Patrick Graham was supposed to get it, who's the defensive coordinator of the New York Giants, was supposed to get an interview with them. He actually just, before we started the show, signed an extension to stay with the New York Giants, so he won't be going anywhere, and I'm glad about that because that dude is very good at his job. And, I know Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, also interviewing for that job, and Eric Bieniemy definitely deserves a head coaching job in this league. We've seen plenty of instances of him doing the play calling. Excuse me, man, wow. Doing the play calling in Kansas City. But they got an interesting choice up there, man. So, number one, head coaching aside, do you bring Sam Darnold back, which means you're going to pay him, or do you use that number 2 pick in the draft to bring in a new quarterback, whether that's Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, or do you bring somebody else in? It's a lot of things to do there because they can take that number 2 overall pick, stick with Sam, trade it, and get a haul back, and try and really build something around Sam Darnold and bring in the right coach. Baker Mayfield has looked amazing with Kevin Stefanski there this season. Like maybe that, because a lot of people still believe in Sam Darnold, so maybe that could be something there. Well, where do the Jets go from here?
I'm not 100% sure, but they have a lot of options, like all the options you just brought up. To me, it really comes down to how much do they believe in Sam Darnold, and I think we're going to see that this offseason. If they believe in Sam Darnold as much as we think, or as much as some people think that he still has the talent to be a great quarterback in this league, then I think you keep him, and then you try to trade that second pick and get a haul back for it to kind of make your team better overall. Because if you do get a new quarterback, he's a young quarterback, he's gonna have to learn, and then you still got to fill out the rest of the roster. I mean, you're gonna get a new head coach in there. So you think if you still believe in Sam Darnold, you get a new head coach, trade that second pick, get a haul. Now you have a better, well-rounded team, and then you really, like I said, if you believe in Sam Darnold, 'cause I'm like, do you want to give him another chance? Just try a new quarterback. If you really believe in Sam Darnold, then I think it's the best option. Get that new head coach in there, trade that pick for more pieces, and then you go out there and see what they can do. But I think that would probably have to be his last shot in New York.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they can do what Chicago did with Mitchell Trubisky. Just don't extend him and let him play out the deal. I'm pretty sure he's got one. Let me double check that, but I'm almost sure Sam Darnold has 1 year left on his contract left. But if I'm the Jets, I'd probably go with that, because like I said, Sam Darnold's issue is he hasn't regressed, but he hasn't gotten better either. And that's the steps you need to take when you're a franchise guy. Like I brought it up before when everybody was clamoring over Trevor Lawrence. As far as it doesn't matter unless you got the right situation for the quarterback, because I don't believe there's an unbreakable guy in the NFL. Like everybody, especially quarterbacks, you need that right situation to have that success. But I bring up Trevor Lawrence because Trevor Lawrence and Sam Darnold had very similar draft grades, coming out of college. And like I said, a lot of people still believe in Sam Darnold. We talked about him possibly ending up with the Steelers weeks ago. That's a situation that would be great for him. But I think if the Jets can get the right guy in there for him, and then because they really don't have anything for him to build around with. Like the Bills trade for Stephon Diggs, and Josh Allen just looks completely amazing. Imagine if the Jets could do something like that for Sam Darnold, and then get a competent coaching staff around him, which is something he never had.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I say if you really believe in him like that, you kind of keep him and then get another head coach in there, someone that maybe kind of shape the offense best to kind of fit Sam Darnold, and you get him some better pieces out there, because we talked about how they just haven't been that great with kind of surrounding him with pieces and things like that. You trade that second pick, get a whole bunch of pieces, and then at that point, it might be just Sam Darnold. That's what I said. That'll probably definitely be his last chance. But if you're kind of over him and ready for a new start and things like that, then I guess you go ahead and take that quarterback. But like I said, this offseason is going to show how much faith they kind of still have in Sam Darnold.
Yeah, and I just checked it. He does have 1 more year left on the rookie deal. So if I'm the Jets, honestly, I would seriously think about doing what Chicago did with Mitchell Trubisky. Just don't extend him, let him play out the contract, and then see if you want to give him another contract following the rookie deal. If not, then you can let him go. I know it's tough because you would want to get something for him, but the way he's looked, what's the most you're going to get for Sam Darnold right now?
Yeah, that's why I said you'll definitely probably get more for that second pick. So I think even like you said with the Chicago situation, I would bring in another veteran quarterback, someone that's going to push him and maybe be able to take that spot for him just in case, just kind of give him some motivation to kind of have to, play better.
Yeah, man, for sure. Even like with Daniel Jones, I've seen people say that is something that the Giants should do, as far as maybe not bring somebody in that you're like, oh, he'll definitely start with Daniel Jones, but bring someone in that's going to make him sweat a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's just something to think about.
And also someone he can learn from, too. I think like a veteran quarterback. He had Eli there last year, but I think someone that he can also learn from someone that's going to push him, and kind of like in this situation, if he does go down, you have a very suitable quarterback to kind of fill in for.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so we're talking playoffs now, man. We got a question from my man, Anthony Spiraccio, Fishing with Dog. He made a nice joke over here. Okay, I'm not going to read that one. But he says, thoughts on Baker and Browns rematch against fully loaded Steelers wild card week? Well, Kevin Stefanski, we just mentioned earlier how great Baker Mayfield has looked since Kevin Stefanski's been his coach, and what Kevin Stefanski's been able to do for his career. Unfortunately, today we found out that Kevin Stefanski contracted COVID-19, and a couple of members of the coaching staff are being quarantined right now too. So that's going to overlap with the game. So it doesn't look like he'll be there to coach. So that's definitely unfortunate for the Browns. Honestly, though, I wasn't going to pick the Browns to win this game anyway.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have picked the Browns either. I think we talked about this kind of since the season started. It's going to be interesting to see how situations go when a head coach or a quarterback or someone important kind of misses the game because of a COVID situation. So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of respond to that. But like you said, I probably would have went with the Steelers anyway. I think that the Browns probably have a chance, but I would probably pick the Steelers in this one.
Yeah, if Stefanski and the coaching staff are in there, I think it'd be a good game to watch. They'd make the Steelers sweat because the Steelers just have it. Even when they were undefeated, they weren't a team I really believed in as much as some other people did, and then we kind of got to see that towards the end of the season. But I'd still pick them over the Browns. But I mean, with this development, I think the Steelers are probably going to roll.
Yeah, I definitely see. I think the Browns have a chance. The Steelers haven't looked as great at the end of the season. We know how kind of good they looked earlier. So I think the Browns have a chance, but I think, like I said, the Steelers will probably get in. It's going to be interesting to see who they pick to kind of coach the team and things like that. So I think the Browns have a lot of things to figure out. And for it to be their first playoff game in a while, I think it just might be a little too much.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what's up with that one, man, because...
Or it could go the other way. They could kind of, rally behind everything that's going on. First playoff game in a while.
We have seen what Baker Mayfield has looked like without Kevin Stefanski, and we have seen what Baker Mayfield looks like with Kevin Stefanski.
Well, whatever coach is going to go in there is still going to run kind of the same offense. It's got to be Kevin Stefanski's offense. Just he's not going to be there.
Are they going to have the same effect that Kevin Stefanski does on that team? I don't know.
I mean, you don't know, but I think they could maybe rally around everything that's going on, that coach is down, and kind of go out there and maybe try to win it for coach.
It's possible, man. I'm going to go with the Steelers, though. I think the Steelers are going to roll.
I'm going to stay with the Steelers, too, but I give them a fighter's chance, a puncher's chance.
For sure. So let's run through the three Saturday games now, since we got through the Browns Steelers, which is going to be Sunday night, 8:15. So the first game up on the slate starts at 105 AFC. The AFC battle between the Bills, who are the AFC East champs, and the Colts led by Phillip Rivers. Josh Allen's been in the MVP conversation, man. He's not going to win it. That's my opinion anyway. But he's had an amazing year. The Bills have had an amazing year, and I just don't really believe in Phillip Rivers like that at this stage in the game. And the Colts have been good. Phillip Rivers has had some very good performances as well. But I like the Bills in this one, man. I think the Bills are gonna win this by more than a one score. They're not gonna run up the score, but they'll win. It'll be more than a one score game.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of agree with you. Everything you said there. I think the Bills will get this one. I kind of don't have much more to say. Kind of after what you said, I think the Bills will win this one.
And then after that, at 4:40, we got an NFC West, a divisional matchup in the wild card. The Los Angeles Rams against the Seattle Seahawks. The Rams, I don't even know what's going on with the Rams because, their quarterback injured his thumb, and he actually wasn't even looking that great towards the end of the season either. But you might have a backup quarterback in there for this game. And, the quarterback situation regardless is shaky, but it's either you could have a backup quarterback or your starting quarterback who could be dealing with a serious injury there. And the Rams defense is, you got Jalen Ramsey over there. You got a guy in Aaron Donald who is arguably the greatest player ever at his position. And I know that's tough for a lot of people to hear because of the names that you got to put up against him, but it's there for debate. So that defense is crazy. They got a coach who's looked at as somebody who's change the game a little bit with how he was running offenses and things like that. But I think, and the Seattle defense isn't that great either. So it's an interesting matchup, but I think Seattle's gonna be able to get this one done because of the lack of firepower that the Rams will have on offense.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you there. I'm gonna go with the Rams. I think their defense will kind of be able to hold Seattle in check a little bit. I think they'll kind of try to keep the game maybe a low scoring game and then kind of try to win it that way. They gotta really kind of get to the quarterback and not let Russell Wilson kind of go out there and do the things that we know he can do. So I think as long as they make it tough in that situation, I think the Rams might be able to pull this one out.
Disclaimer: Kayson likes Russ. He just doesn't like this Russ.
No, I actually like Russ in Seattle, but I think the defense is gonna pull out on this one. You know what they say: defense wins championships.
I hear that. All right, so we'll see. That's not a bad take from you at all. We'll definitely. I'm gonna hit you up for that game. Definitely gonna hit you up for that game. So Saturday night will be Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Washington football team. Whoo, man. I've been waiting for this one. I actually tweeted it out during Sunday Night Football that whoever Tampa plays, they're not, whether it was the Giants or the Washington football team, they are not going to walk through either of those teams. And you know what? I'm standing by it. I am standing by it because that Washington defense is real. That rookie linebacker over there. Did you see that video of Chase Young talking about I want Tom Brady after they sealed up the division?
Yeah,
he's serious about that, and you know what? He's gonna get Tom Brady too. A lot of people are like, "See, that's not the guy you want to rattle or anything like that." But you know when Tom Brady has struggled the most, when he's had defenses who just get all up in his face. The first two Super Bowls he lost was because the Giants' defensive line was all in his face, getting him, rattled up and whatnot. Then even against the Eagles, it was the same thing. In the games that he's lost outside of the Super Bowl, it's always been the same thing. The Washington football team definitely can do that against him. So I'm giving Washington a chance. However, I'm going to pick Tampa to win it because Alex Smith is still hurt. He did not. He looked like he really couldn't move that much against Philly last Sunday, and I just think he's not going to be able to do the things that got Washington to this point. So it'll be a closer game than some people may think, but Tampa will still pull it through.
You almost convinced us that you're about to take Washington there, so that's
No.
way to get us. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay too. I think this is kind of what they bought Tom Brady there for, and Gronkowski there for, is for them to kind of step up in the playoffs and be ready for the playoffs and things like that, all the big moments. So I think this is kind of, like I said, what they bought him there for, and then for them to kind of come up short, it'd be kind of upsetting. I think, like you said, the defense would make it tough with Chase Young and them over there, but I think they should be able to pull it out over kind of the younger Washington team.
Right. We got another question from my guy Fishing with Dog. Giants draft pick 11. Is Gervonta Davis fighting this weekend?
No, I think he announced the fight. I don't know if it's this weekend. I think he announced the fight. If you look on
Who's he fight?
I forgot. If you look on his Instagram, I think he just announced the fight. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on it.
Whatever. I don't doubt that he's gonna lose. He'll win whoever it is. He'll beat whoever it is that he's fighting. And Heisman draft selection. So Giants pick number 11. I think the Giants will go with my man at Alabama, that wide receiver. They need a number. Like Darius Slayton is very good. He had a little bit of a down year because a lot of teams started scheming for him, or not scheming for him, but like watching a lot of film on him and making him a focal point for their defenses to stay on. He was also banged up as well, but he's just not a number one guy. So if you can get a number one guy in there to help him out, you'll see him shine. They really haven't had a number one wide receiver since they traded Odell. So with that first pick, they should, at 11, or if they want to move up or down, I don't think they'll move up, but they should take a wide receiver, and it should be my man from Alabama there. As far as Heisman goes, Gervonta Smith wins the Heisman, Alabama wide receiver. Yeah, Gervonta. It's possible. I actually think. It could be Mac from Alabama, the quarterback, because I know he's in the conversation. I think Trevor Lawrence is gonna win a Heisman. But the Giants, I believe, will take a wide receiver with their first pick.
Interesting. I'd probably go maybe Trevor Lawrence too. Kind of just how different the Clemson has looked without him. That losing to Notre Dame without him, and then kind of coming back and blowing Notre Dame out with him. So I think that'd be something that maybe they're looking to. And then as for the Giants, you don't think that they'll go? You don't think they'll try to shore up the offensive line a little more?
No, I think the offensive line has played well enough where from here you want to continue to develop the young guys that you got, because it got very young towards the middle and end of that season, and then you'll probably Nate Solder will be back next year, so that's something to monitor too. That's one thing, and then if you want to bring in some other veterans in free agency, that's also there. I know some people might be thinking, because Giants really have no pass rush either, could you go pass rush in the draft? Maybe with the later picks, they'll go pass rush, but they had a lot of guys that were hurt this season that were part of that pass rushing game. And it just makes a lot more sense to go after pass rushing in free agency when you can get a top wide receiver for very cheap with draft capital.
Yeah, definitely. So I kind of agree with you there on the kind of everything you said. It'd be interesting though, like you said, they have Slater and a couple other people, so maybe they do go for another wide receiver or something like that. So I kind of agree with you.
Most definitely. I've seen these answered boxers fighting Ryan Garcia. That's actually not official. They've been talking about fighting each other, but that has not been announced.
But he put something on Instagram. I don't know if it was official. I think he did it.
They've been talking smack to each other, but it hasn't been announced that they're going to fight each other though. They've been going at each other's heads since Ryan Garcia won his fight on Saturday night.
There was like a little poster or something he put. Wait, let me see. If you look on his Instagram, maybe it's not official. So, but I guess he was acting like maybe it's close.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up now. Is it Tank Davis?
I forgot where I seen it. It like someone had posted it and I had seen it. Anyways, I guess we'll get back to you on that. Get back to you guys on that.
There's a lot of fan pages on there. A lot of fan pages on there. So it's whatever. Let's get to Sunday though for this wild card round. And first up is a rematch of last year's divisional game between the Baltimore Ravens and the Tennessee Titans. Derrick Henry is the man. Not a lot of people can stop him. And the biggest reason why the Tennessee Titans beat Baltimore last year was because of Derrick Henry. He just ran it up on them. Like Lamar Jackson threw for over 300 yards and rushed for over 100 yards in that game, and they still lost. So that's just something to take into perspective there, right? I believe that Baltimore has a lot of motivation. Number one, I think they're one of the most dangerous teams in the playoffs, and they have a lot of motivation to go out there and win because this is a rematch from last year. Like they were the favorites to go out there, and we all wanted to see it. We wanted to see Baltimore versus Kansas City in the AFC Championship, and we didn't get to see that. So I'm taking Baltimore because of the revenge factor, number one, but also the running game's a lot better. They got J.K. Dobbins over there, who's had a very good rookie year.
Yeah, I think.
And my bad, I gotta get this out too. And Lamar Jackson has, going against, or contrary to popular belief, or some people's beliefs, he has progressed as a passer. We talked about it when they beat the Browns. He was out of the game. Their backup Trace McSorley gets hurt. He comes back into the game and then scores a touchdown. Like he threw an amazing pass to Hollywood Brown to put them up in that game. Like that showed us that some progress there. He has progressed as a passer.
Yeah, and I think Lamar Jackson kind of has to play big and kind of get a win. I think even last year after they lost, a lot of people were talking about how he hasn't been. I'm not sure if he hasn't won a playoff game yet, or he hasn't.
Never won a play. This is year 3. He has not won a playoff game. It's what's been surrounded with his career so far.
Yeah, so that's all everyone's going to talk about if they don't win. So I think he has motivation to kind of get out there and maybe win, even though they didn't have as great as a year. It's kind of to make up for the bad year that they had. But I'm going to stay with Tennessee here, and I think it'll kind of be more last year. I don't know if they're going to be able to have anything to deal with Henry out there. I think he'll kind of he's a beast. It's kind of no one has nothing to kind of deal with him. So I think they'll kind of, how they do, maybe try to keep the score low and kind of run it up on and kind of, run the ball on them.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee knows, like, even taking Derrick Henry out of the equation, he's going to be a big factor in that game. But Ryan Tannehill's no slouch, and they have one of the best young wide receivers in the league, and AJ Brown over there too. So that's definitely a factor in there. But me, I'm the big trust out here, baby. I'm sticking with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, as much as I like to see Lamar Jackson win, I just don't think this might be the year. But like you said, the revenge factor is there, the factor that he needs to play better. So I could see it happening, but I'm gonna stick with Tennessee.
Right. 4:40 p.m. on CBS, the Chicago Bears will go against the New Orleans Saints. It is looking very likely that this is Drew Brees' last year in the NFL. So the last couple of years, the Saints have been favorites to go to the Super Bowl. And the last couple of years, they have choked in the playoffs. The Chicago Bears, it's been widely discussed about how they could have had Patrick Mahomes. They could have had Deshaun Watson. But the first quarterback off the board, they took him, Mitchell Trubisky. And we mentioned it early. They did not give him an extension. He ended up, he won the starting job, then lost it, then won it back. He actually didn't look great. He didn't look too bad once he came back into the fold. And you know what, man? I have been saying since last year, Drew Brees is falling off. Like when we talked about it after the playoffs is over, I said the Saints should stick with Teddy Bridgewater and move on from Drew Brees, get ahead of it. But they didn't want to do that, and we saw it happen this year with Drew Brees. The Saints just have this stuck to them that they choke in the playoffs. And you know what? Mitchell Trubisky needs this. I'm going with the Chicago Bears to upset the New Orleans Saints again. The New Orleans Saints will lose in the playoffs again to the Chicago Bears because of money-making Mitch. You like how I did that, right?
I don't think I can see it happen. The Saints, they are known to fold in the playoffs. I think they kind of folded the last 3 years. But a lot of things have not gone their way. So if you kind of look at it, there was that maybe pass interference that happened against the Patriots. There's a lot of things the miracle that happened. There's a lot of things just haven't gone their way. I think they can't be that bad, and they're still a great football team. I think they see it. They kind of know this maybe be the last run, so I think they'll be motivated. So I'm gonna stick with the Saints here.
All right, I'm not mad at it. I guess I'm the one that came out with the hot take. I just, I had to get that one out there. I'm feeling it. It's 2021, baby. It's 2021.
I think that the Saints will know how to kind of right their wrongs from the last couple of years, and like I said, try to get over that bad luck that they had and maybe some misfortune. So I think they're going to be able to get this one. I think they're going to try to come out and know that they have to play well from the beginning to kind of make sure they don't leave it in maybe the ref's hands or something crazy happen where like they kind of lose. So I think they're going to come out and kind of maybe trying to dominate from the beginning so one of those crazy situations don't happen to them again.
Yeah, and it's possible too, man. It definitely is. Like, and that's how they've lost. It's always been something crazy happening against them. The Minnesota Miracle, then the NFC Championship against the Rams with the blown call or whatever, and then last year against Minnesota again, you lose to Kirk Cousins. So I just think there's a couple of factors there that might go against the Saints, and of course we'll be closing out the wild card round with the Browns versus the Steelers. We already talked about that one earlier. So we're going to move on here. Before we move on to the NBA, I want to give a quick shout out to FloWrestling, who's putting out 2 cards this weekend for all you combat sports fans, wrestling fans. They have Friday. We're going to be seeing Kyle Dake. Let me look this one up for you real quick. But Kyle Dake will be wrestling on Friday. He'll be taking on David McFadden. Then we got a crazy matchup between Yanni Diakmahalis and Anthony Ashnault, two NCAA Division I champions squaring off. Yanni, not only one of the best in the country, but one of the best in the world. And then Gabe Dean will be bumping up a weight class to wrestle Mike Machiavello. Mike, we've had him on the show before. So that's the main card. And then, of course, the following day, it'll be Olympic champion Jordan Burroughs taking on world champion David Taylor. These two will be renewing their rivalry after it's been a few years since they wrestled each other with Taylor moving up. That's the headline, though. You have Mitch E versus Tristan Moran, Big Ten matchup. Rana Heaton versus Desiree Zavala. Nate Jackson versus Wynn Michelick. Seth Gross versus Zane Richards. Ethan Lezak versus Matt McDonough. Sean Garrett versus Joey McKenna. Emily Shilson versus Aaron Golston. James Green versus Pat Lugo, Jaden Cox versus Hayden Zilmer, and then right before the JB Taylor matchup, it's Adeline Gray versus Terrera Mensah Stock. So definitely, if you're into wrestling, if you're just into combat sports, hit up Flow and check that one out. Well, so let's get to the NBA.
Since we're on a wrestling tip, let's give you a shout out. Those last two interviews that you put out, one with Coach KD, one with Coach Knapp. The one with Coach Knapp is almost at like 300 views. So let's give yourself a shout out there.
I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that one, man. Or gotta show the wrestling love. Of course, that's my background, so always gotta do that. And the season's back up, by the way. If you guys didn't check out the article I put out, definitely go check that on the rundown page on our website. But yeah, man, we'll have more wrestling content coming soon as the college season is here now, and more of these cards start to progress. Let's get over to the NBA season now. A lot of crazy things are happening, Kayson. So, you want to get off to it? You want to start with it?
I mean, we might as well start off with the Knicks. That's what the people want to hear about.
The New York Knicks. Man. Give them a round of applause. Give a round of applause to the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks are currently 4-3. They played the Atlanta Hawks last night. For most of the game, they were down. For a while, they were actually down by double digits as well. But they go out there and they straight up compete, and they rack up another win. The Knicks are competing, man.
Let's go Knicks.
And there's my dad.
Let's go Knicks.
One of the biggest Knicks fans any of you guys will know. He's loving it right now. A lot of people, I get hit ups from him, my brother, my man Ant always hitting me up every time the Knicks go out there and do something. But I got to give it to him, man. They're looking very good right now. It's still early, it's very early in the season. Like right now, the Milwaukee Bucks are in 9th place, so it's still early, but I got to give credit where it's due. The Knicks look very good. Like we talked about last week, the defensive side of the ball looks great. That's Tom Thibodeau's forte. But I mean, RJ Barrett has jumped levels. He's a guy that he was drafted to be the face of that organization, and we're starting to see the improvement from him. You got guys like Emmanuel Quickly, the rookie who looked pretty good. Julius Randle, who a lot of Knicks fans hated last year. And Stephen A. Smith said it today, is looking like he's playing at an all-star level. And then you got other guys like Austin Rivers plays his first game after sitting back and everything. And, he looked like he hadn't really missed a beat. Frank Ntilikina is currently hurt right now, but he's logged in some meaningful minutes for them. And a couple other guys have done it as well. They don't look too bad, man. So who should we be more excited about? The Brooklyn Nets, who are actually behind the New York Knicks in the standing, or the New York Knicks?
Obviously, we should still be more excited for the Nets. The Nets are more of a championship caliber team, so you'd be more excited for them to see if they can kind of win a championship. But being from New York, I know New York is going to be more excited for the Knicks. It's a Knicks town, and just you can look at the comments right now. People are going crazy. Like you said, people hit you up. The Knicks have kind of been bad for a little while now. I know I got on them a couple times joking around with Shad, but if you listen to my hot take a couple weeks ago, I said that they'll be all right. Tom Thibodeau will be able to turn it around. He's got them playing hard, which is what we expected. They're going to be playing hard and playing defense, and so that's kind of what we expected from them, and it's been able to turn into some wins. I think Austin Rivers has been better than maybe they expected. So I think that's good for them. Even when I watched the Rockets last year, I thought Austin Rivers can maybe do a little more. I think playing with maybe Russ and Harden, he kind of sat around and just, or maybe it's the Rockets system. He kind of just sat around and took threes and things like that. But I thought he can do more off the dribble and maybe have more of an effect in the offense. But the Knicks, they're playing hard. They're playing well. This is kind of what you expect from a Tom Thibodeau thing. Now it's just, can they keep it up?
Yeah, I mean, that's been a theme with them for a while. For a couple of seasons now, they get their fans very riled up very early and then kind of let up. But this is a little different because they have a coach we know is established a bit. Before it's been like a coach that a lot of people don't really know too much about as far as a head coaching role goes. He's kind of got Tibbs has got established what he's going to go out there and do. Do I think that they're going to, be a team to watch out for in the playoffs? No, but as far they're a team that could get into the play-in tournament, so that's if you're a Knicks fan, there's something to be excited about this season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they could definitely get it. They could get in as maybe not into the play-in tournament. Kind of maybe, I guess you got to finish maybe 6 or higher. Maybe that's kind of high. They could possibly get in. It's the least in conference, as I like to call it. So you never know over there. So they could maybe get in higher. But the playoffs looking probably pretty good for them right now. It's still early, like you said. There's been, I guess, other seasons where maybe they started off kind of good and kind of fall off. So you got to just see how it goes from here. But I think you can see the effects of Tip already. He's kind of changing the culture over there. So those guys are playing hard and then playing defense, and that's kind of all you can ask from them. Even if they don't end up getting into the playoffs, I think if they keep up what they've been doing, I think it's a good turnaround for them just to see the culture change a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, it's something to talk about. Who would have known? You get the right coach in there and good things happen. Who would have thought, right?
Yeah, I mean, even with the right coach, some people expected it kind of to go wrong with it being the Knicks. Like, what can go wrong will go wrong. But Tibbs, I guess he deserves all the money that he got. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah, they got that cowboy stigma to them, but things are looking up for the New York Knicks from what we have seen so far. I mean, and it's good for New York, man. We talked about this a while back. Like, my dream as a native New Yorker is for the Jets and the Giants to both be good, for the Mets and the Yankees to both be good. I don't watch hockey, but for the Islanders and the Rangers to both be good, and for the Knicks and the Nets to both be good, because when that happens, the city is great. This is a city that it's a double-edged sword. It's the worst place to play if you're losing, but it's the best place to play if you're winning. And if you got the two teams in all the sports winning, that's amazing. So, I mean, like, the Nets are a team that people are talking about could win a championship, and it's still a Knicks town. So the fact that they're got some excitement around them is something to behold, right?
Yeah, I mean, what you just said is like every sports fan's dream when they're rooting for their hometown teams. But yeah, I get it. It's New York. People are gonna go extra crazy. It's like Knicks fans everywhere. So yeah. So I mean, like you said, when the Knicks are doing good, then the city's kind of alive. And you saw even when they were doing bad how sold out the Garden was gonna be. So imagine them doing good. You already know how it's gonna go, especially. To be serious for a moment, like hearing just being able to watch the atmosphere on TV and have it listening to the stories of people that sat in it. MSG in the playoffs is one of the craziest atmospheres you will ever be in. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you like seeing it on TV. Even you can see, like, I remember watching a home game last year. I think Julius Randle hit like a big shot towards the end of the game. But you can see, like, they were, who knows what their record was. It was bad, but the Garden was sold out. People were on their feet. Like, a regular season game you can go to, and if they're playing well or at least decent being in the game, the Garden's going to be alive. So you know how it even goes to another level when it's playoff time. So I can imagine what it's like. Even, we've seen the Knicks in the playoffs in our lifetime. They haven't been terrible the whole time.
It was a while ago, but yeah.
So I remember what it was like seeing them in there. I watched it.
Yeah. I remember, my senior year, the first time they had made it, and it was just about over a decade since they had been in the playoffs. Like, people are getting up for the Knicks, man. So it's good to see that again. It's unfortunate that no fans will be in the building because, I'd love to be there when they play Brooklyn, because that'll get serious pretty quick with the whole stigma around that. But it's looking like a nice time to be a Knicks fan, man. Like I said, my dad came in here and was shouting them out. So yeah, it's a nice time to be a Knicks fan, man.
Yeah, even though the fans can't be there, if you're on the internet, you'll definitely hear the Knicks fans. So you'll see them, you'll hear them. So that's the best we're going to get right now.
Right on. We got a question from T. Negron. What are your thoughts about re-signing Randall to a max? I don't think you should do it as well as he is playing right now. I do not think that you should give him max. He was the only player that they gave a multiple year deal to. Everybody else that they were signing was just 1 year deals. I think people should pump the brakes on the excitement with that. Be excited for your team because right now what they're showing is a lot different from what we're used to. But let's just remember that it's very early right now in the season. So that specific talk about bringing him, re-signing him to a max with as well as he could. Julius Randle has talent. You know, he actually looked very good when he was in New Orleans. Even his last year with the Lakers, when he was playing for that contract, he didn't look that bad either. But we saw what his first year with the Knicks was. Maybe having Tibbs over there is just something that's kind of resurrected his game from a year ago. But I think like we should just let the season play out before we start talking like that.
Yeah, I'm not as much as well as he played. I'm not signing him to a max. Even like you brought up last year how Knicks fans thought he kind of played bad. I just don't think he's a max player at this point. I think you'll maybe save that. You can save that money because people are gonna want to come play. If they keep this up, people are gonna want to come and play for New York. So you'll be able to sign someone that's probably better than him, maybe more of a superstar. And then you're gonna have to not re-sign, but you're gonna have to sign R.J. Barrett, especially if he keeps up with what he's doing. So you're gonna have to sign him. I think I don't know if they sign Mitchell Robinson, but there's some players you have to sign, and if those guys kind of keep it up and keep up what they're doing, there's going to be players that want to come play for New York. So as good as Randall's doing for them right now, they might be able to find maybe an upgrade out there that maybe be more worth the max.
Yeah, I mean, you were thinking that they were going to try and groom Toppin to be the heir apparent for that forward position too. I know he hasn't played much because he's dealing with his injuries and whatnot. And some people believe in him, some people don't, but you drafted him for a reason with your lottery pick. So that's definitely something to watch out for there. Too, CT Negron, big Knicks fan over here, talking again. So I think it's time we start that boy quickly. Hey, yo, DSJ, get that JFK flight ready. You don't got to do that to DSJ, man. That's not nice. Quickly, I like Quickly. He looks good, but I think, honestly, some of Julius Randle's success has come from the chemistry that he has with Elfrid Payton. And, you know, Elfrid Payton is not a great player by any stretch. I mean, he's good. He's an NBA player. And this season alone, he's had I think one game he lit it up for the Knicks too, correct?
You talking about? I'm not Payton. Sure. I didn't watch all the Knicks games. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Payton had one game in the second half where he turned up, but he hasn't been a great player himself. I just know that he has pretty good chemistry with Randle, so that would be a reason to maybe keep him in the starting lineup just because the chemistry that he has with Randle to keep Randle playing the way that he's playing. But Quickly's been pretty good, man. You know, I think right now he's fine being a nice spark off the bench.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what they need. I think kind of what they have going right now, you kind of don't want to mess with it too much. He's been playing at the end of the game. I guess he played at the end of the game.
If people need to understand that, man. Like it's not about always starting. It's about who closes. Like Lou Williams, he got that early, and that's why he's been such a great player in the NBA and won multiple Sixth Man of the Year awards. Jamal Crawford, and another guy, you know. So it's something to watch out. Even James Harden early in his career. James Harden was the second overall pick in the draft, correct?
Third
overall pick. And, you know, in Oklahoma City, he was a part of a big three, and he wasn't the starter. But he was closing every game.
Yeah. So yeah, Quickly's coming off the bench, and I think that's kind of what matters the most. As long as he's finishing games, so I think that's what matters the most. Whether he's starting or not, it kind of doesn't really matter, especially for a young player. If he's gonna come in and be that spark off the bench is something that they probably need, and then be in there at the end of the game. I think that's what matters more than kind of starting. So I wouldn't mess with the chemistry, kind of what they got going on right now. I'll kind of let it ride out, and then just see how it goes.
Yeah, man, for sure. Let's get off the Knicks though. The Philadelphia 76ers are in first place. I told you, man. And look, I still believe in Brooklyn. I mean, we're going to talk about them too, but I said Philly would be a team to not sleep on and watch out for. They're not only in first place, but they look good. Ben Simmons made another three, you know, so that's something to check out.
Can we drop a bomb or something for him? Ben Simmons hit a three. We need to clap it up for him or something.
Shout out to Ben Simmons. So Ben Simmons made another three, but the chemistry over there looks great, man. I think Doc Rivers is doing a very good job. I don't know if your man's watching right now, the Doc Rivers hater. But you know, Doc Rivers looks is looking like he's doing a very good job in Philly right now. And if they keep this up, do you even want Harden?
Probably not. It's interesting because I guess the Nets could probably use Harden now too. But yeah, if they keep it up, you probably don't want Harden. We said kind of before you finally surrounded Ben and Embiid with a whole bunch of shooters, so you kind of got to see how that goes now that they have shooters around them. So if it looks great, I guess if they fold in the playoffs again, you maybe think maybe you go after Harden, but I think that's the after this season type of thing. So I think if things keep going how it's going, where they're able to space the floor, Ben Simmons is shooting threes, things look like it's going well. You got Doc over there, so I think right now I wouldn't want to probably mess with the chemistry that they got going on. So maybe if things start to, because like we said before, it's early in the season. If things start to maybe fall down later on in the season, maybe you think about it, but we all been talking about what these guys maybe be able to do with shooters around them, spacing the floor and things like that. So they finally got it. You got to kind of let it see how it plays out.
Yeah, for sure, man. But I definitely, again, gotta agree with the point about it's early. Let's let things play out a bit. But I do like what I'm seeing from Philly so far, man. I think a lot of guys is finally being held accountable because Doc's that kind of coach, and good things are happening. Also, Daryl Morey did the right thing by, I see somebody mentioned it, spreading the floor help. You also just mentioned it as well, but he did a good job as far as with the draft and free agency, bringing in the right guys to be able to maximize the roster over there.
Yeah, definitely. This is what everyone's been saying. What would they be able to do if the floor is spaced and they have shooters around them, so on? Because with Ben Simmons not shooting the ball, it kind of shrinks the floor already. So Embiid definitely needs the space and things like that. So they got what they maybe need around them, and things are starting off well. So we're going to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So let's get to the Brooklyn Nets, because that's the team we've all been talking about since KD and Kyrie finally got to play on the floor. They lost the game the other night. KD and Kyrie both missed game-winning shots, and the first thing everybody went to was Kyrie's quote, "I finally have a guy that I can look at and say he can make that shot too," and they both missed. So, they're sitting right outside of the playoffs at this moment, but they're also up 72-55 against a very good Utah team as well. Losing Spencer Dinwiddie was a big deal. We're hearing rumors that they could they're in the market to look for a guy to replace him. Whether that's, you mentioned James Harden still being in the equation. George Hills is somebody we've seen rumors about that they might try and get a trade for him going. That's a guy I would definitely look at. He was a big boost during his time in Milwaukee. Of course, we can't forget Indiana Georgia. With the things he did in Indiana were just great, and that Indiana team should have went to at least one NBA Finals. But they're there. They got some things to work on, but I still think that they're going to be fine. Like they're showing out right now on my TV in the corner.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. I think losing Spencer Dinwiddie was kind of a big hit. We talked about kind of the big role that he played for them, letting Kyrie play off point a lot and just worry about scoring. He was able to kind of run the offense. I didn't think their defense would take this big of a hit without him, but like their defenses look kind of really bad without him. So, like you said, they got to find someone else to kind of fill that role again, kind of not have Kyrie play point 24/7 and let him worry about scoring a little bit. As far as like KD and things like that, I think the missed shot is funny. He missed another one against Charlotte. So KD's missed two potential game winners already. But I think he's still getting his footing. He's looked well from the start, but I still think like he's played maybe 5-6 games in the last 500 and something days or something like that. So I think he's still getting his footing. I think it's good to maybe get those kinks out early, so later on down the line, playoffs, maybe end of the season, they kind of figure out who's. I guess they know who's going to get the shot, but you get his rhythm in the kind of late game offense and things like that. So I think they'll be fine. I think as long as they're gonna. I don't think they'll still go after James Harden now because they lost a lot of losing. Especially Dinwiddie is kind of you're losing the trade piece for him, and they kind of didn't really like what Brooklyn was giving them. So I think George Hill is someone that's perfect. He shot like 40% from three last year. He's going to be able to space the floor like Spencer Dinwiddie did and run the offense like Spencer Dinwiddie did. So I think going after George Hill will be a perfect fit to kind of get them back to where maybe they were with him.
Yeah, definitely. And having a guy like George Hill will help your defense a ton too. And you just mentioned how the defense has been struggling a little bit, so he helps. He can help on both ends of the floor. I want to make a correction, by the way. Milwaukee's not in ninth; they're in seventh. But again, we're talking about how early it is in the season. Philly's 6-1, Orlando's 5-2, Indiana's 5-2, Boston's 5-3, Knicks 4-3, Cleveland 4-3, Milwaukee 4-3, Atlanta 4-3, and then right outside Miami's 3-3. So again, let things play out. We'll see where it goes. Here's another team we got to talk about: the Washington, not the Washington football team, the Washington Wizards. The Washington Wizards started the season 0-5, right? And, when we talked about them last time, we mentioned how, no training camp and things, got to get time for Russ to be able to get acclimated over there. But people over there have mentioned how much of a big difference he's been on the team already with the attitude he brings and things like that. They got 2 wins. One of them was actually against Brooklyn. That was the first time we got to see Russ versus KD in the East. And, they still look good. They got to find a way to close out games. I know you mentioned the young guys over there got to kind of pick up the speed on closing out games too. But, they're sitting at 12, 2-5. Again, still early in the season. The last time a team who started 0-5 made the playoffs, I believe it was 2008. So is there still cause for concern in Washington, or just let things work themselves out?
I think you kind of let things work themselves out. With the new playoff seeding, with 12 teams getting in, even if they don't get in as one of those top 6, they should definitely get in as a play-in team. I know they're kind of towards the bottom right now, but I think when things kind of start to shape themselves out and things a little bit, they should be able to work it out. I think these 2 wins are good for their confidence and things like that. I think, like I said before, I think the young players play hard. They just don't know how to win yet. So I think as the season goes on, like you said, people saying Russ being over there kind of helps them and teaching them and things like that. And I think as the season goes on, Russ is going to be able to adjust to kind of what's going on. I think seeing him now, he's kind of trying to play more of a facilitator role, more of that playmaker role, and less maybe scoring. I think he's still trying to figure out how he's going to get his shots here. Because going from playing small ball last year to now, he kind of has a big on the floor at all times. And even though Thomas Bryant can space the floor, and I think he shot 40% from 3 in the bubble, he's around the rim most of the time. And then when Robin Lopez comes in, he is always around the rim. So I think right now, Russ is kind of just trying to be that playmaker for them and kind of figure out where he's going to get his shots in and how he's going to adjust to what's going on. So I think as the season goes on, he's going to end up being more aggressive and maybe take over games and things like that. So I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, for sure. I think Russ needs to get back to kind of how they were playing in, not the style they were playing in Oklahoma City, but as far as like when you mentioned the bigs playing with guys like that, like what they were similar to what they were doing in Oklahoma City. We had like Steven Adams and then Nerlens Noel was coming off the bench. So I think that's something that they should probably look at too with him, as far as trying to make that work. But he's a workhorse. Like he's still putting up triple doubles and everything. And you mentioned him being the facilitator. I've said this multiple times. Honestly, that is who he is. Like he's been averaging double-digit assists since his last year playing with KD. So the shot selection's gotta work itself out. But everything else is just typical Russ.
Yeah, definitely. But usually he looks to score first and pass, and you're still getting 10 assists. So he's still a playmaker. But right now he's looking to pass first and then kind of score. And I guess maybe he realizes his shot's not there. But like I said, he started off bad in Houston last year too, and then after the new year, he was shooting over 50%. You saw what his numbers look like the end of the season.
Career year.
Yeah,
well, at that point in time, it was career.
Yeah, so he ended the season having a career type year. So I think it's more of the same right now. He's in a new situation, and he's taking his time to kind of figure out what kind of his role is going to be, how he's going to be able to get his shots. Like I said, he's going from playing small ball back to having to big around the rim all the time, and you can see the defense is over helping and stuff like that too. So I think Russ is going to be all right. And I think also if they keep losing, I think he's going to get to the point kind of where it was like his MVP season where it's kind of just like, F it. I'm just going to go out, try to take over the game, play hard, do whatever I got to do. So right now, like I said, he's just trying to fill it out, but eventually he's going to beat Russ. So you know how that is.
He's also at a point in his career where you got to think about changing your game up a little. So that's, as you get older, his game is predicated on athleticism. As you get older, these are things you got to think about. So that's possibly something we could be seeing with him right now too.
Yeah, definitely. If you think about the playoffs the last couple of years against Portland, he had he had to get two surgeries right after the playoffs. And last year he tore his quad. So maybe that's something too. He's kind of trying to relax a little bit and save himself for later on in the year. So around playoff time, he can kind of go maybe 110%.
Right, man. So let's go back to the West. The Golden State Warriors have not had the greatest season, but people have, not us specifically, but people have been talking about Steph Curry and kind of putting a little bit of disrespect on his name. I know a couple of you guys have been tuning into us, heard the conversation we had in regards to Steph and the Golden State Warriors last week. I had some comments for Steph. I just want to put it out there. I never disrespected Steph's game. I gave Steph all the props as far as him being one of the greatest players of all time, the greatest shooter of all time, a future Hall of Famer, changed the game of basketball as we know it. I just mentioned some things that I still believe are facts as far as if you're asking him to lead you to the playoffs, that's a different, if you ask him to do what Russell Westbrook did for Oklahoma City in 2016 or what James Harden did for multiple seasons in Houston, he can't do that because his body hasn't been able to hold up when you ask him to do that. And he just doesn't have that effect on teams as the lead guy. Like his game is a little different where it just doesn't work that way with him. You know what I mean? So he heard the disrespect and everything. He goes out and drops 62. He actually got he actually got fouled on his way to it at the end of the game. And then, he mentioned the Jordan meme and stuff. Like, I took that as disrespect and all that. That was actually pretty funny. But, I still stand by what I said. And, he's going to put up 60. I know they won that game against Portland. It was a nice duel between him and Dame. But I still stand by what I said.
My problem with Steph was he just looked like he wasn't being aggressive enough. I think he went out there and kind of was really aggressive, and that's kind of what I expect from him. Even if they, like I said, they lose, he can't go out the way he looked last season and the beginning of this season before kind of he went off. He just looked like he was just there. He was out there going through the motions. So, like, if he doesn't have to even give me 60, but he has to, no matter who he's playing with, like you say, he's probably one of the greatest shooters ever. There's no reason why his shooting numbers should kind of look that bad. There's no reason why he should kind of look that bad. He's just kind of walking over, like, around the court. Maybe he's trying to get a feel for his teammates and things like that. But I think maybe the biggest hit is getting Draymond back. I think Draymond is kind of that playmaker that he's kind of always been. And he's their leader, really. He's the one kind of out there directing people into the right spots, getting in people's face. And he helps them a lot defensively. So I think getting Draymond back out there gave him a huge boost. So then he was kind of maybe more able to do what he does. And, Draymond knows how he plays. So Draymond was able to get him into the right spots and things like that. But like I said, my only issue with him was not looking aggressive enough. So maybe Draymond being back out there, being that leader, kind of maybe got into his face a little bit. But as long as he goes out being aggressive, then, it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I mean, if they can keep, because I like the way Wiseman looks too. I still think LaMelo Ball is going to win Rookie of the Year. He's been doing some amazing stuff. He's shooting pretty good from three. I don't know if you've been peeping that or seeing that.
No, I have not. I've seen him hit a couple threes in a couple games, but
he hasn't been that bad. Lonzo hasn't been that bad from three either.
Oh, you're talking about LaMelo? I thought you were talking about Wiseman. Oh yeah. No. LaMelo's been looking all right. So, but like we said, I said it before on here, like, he was a good shooter in high school, so he shooting from half court. So I'm like, his jump shot is kind of there. It's just, I don't know, the scouts were saying that it's a little wishy-washy. So like I said, we had to see how he kind of comes into the league and he's able to shoot. The thing that kind of triggered me about him is he doesn't jump too much. So that's kind of like, it's weird. But on some of his shots, he jumps a little higher. Some shots are like his set shots, I guess catch and shoot shots, it's kind of like a little hop. So it's like a little weird. But I mean, he's been able to hit shots, so I'm not that surprised.
Yeah, like we both said, he's going to run away with Rookie of the Year. I know some people are kind of getting on him, like, the first 2-3 games. They're like, oh, look, he's struggling. And then he goes right back out there and kills it, So
I mean, Wiseman and Anthony Edwards has looked good coming off the bench for Minnesota.
Yeah, but I still think LaMelo, between how good he's looked so far, along with how important he is to Charlotte's team, those are going to be two key factors in why I think he's going to end up winning Rookie of the Year, regardless of how good those two look.
Yeah, like I said, I think he's going to have more highlight plays, things that people are going to see with his passing and kind of some of his finishing we've seen. So I think he's gonna be able to have more highlight plays, and on top of that, he's gonna maybe fill the stat sheet a little more. I think last night he had like 13, 7, and 6. So the assists are probably gonna be there.
Yeah.
The scoring looks like it's gonna be there, and then he's 6'8". They listed him as, so the rebounds will probably be there too. So I think he'll get him in. Filling the stat sheet a little more and the highlight factor. So this sometimes that can get you it too.
Yeah, man, for sure. I get more stuff to monitor. So the Knicks are playing the Nets the 13th of this month. So that's next Wednesday. Definitely be on the lookout for that. Can't wait to see that one.
KD has to do a 10-day quarantine, so hopefully he's back for that game.
Yeah. I know. So we'll see. That started yesterday, I believe. But we'll see about that one. Before we get out of here, want to talk about more in the West with the standings over there right now. The Clippers are actually in first place. It's a 3-way tie, all 5-2 records. The Clippers, the Suns, and the Lakers. So I want to apologize to Kayson. He said that the Clippers are still going to be a big factor in this conference. I said they'll be there and they'll be a tough out. I waned off of them a little bit. They've been pretty good, but
Paul
Phoenix
George has looked great.
Didn't we have 15 I'm pretty sure I was tagging you in that too. They got blown out.
That's the game. That's the game. Everybody looked bad. But Paul George has looked great. He I don't know if you see the game versus the Suns the other day. He killed.
That's what I wanted to bring up because the Phoenix Suns have got off to an amazing start, and Chris Paul doing what he's been doing his whole career, franchise changer everywhere he goes. When he was in New Orleans, going from a lottery team with the number 1 pick to take him to a playoff team. They almost made the conference finals. Then, he goes to the Clippers and makes them a contender, which at the time was something nobody ever thought could happen because of all the history with the Clippers and the stigma around them. Then when he was in Houston, going to the Houston Rockets to getting them to a game away from the NBA Finals. Now, and then what he did in Oklahoma City as well. Oklahoma City had a 0.2 chance to make the playoffs. He goes in there and loses in 7 games to Houston in the first round. And now he's in Phoenix, and they're lighting it up right now. But, you mentioned the Clippers game. Devin Booker and Paul George were going at it.
Yeah, well, like I said, Paul George looks great. He had that one bad game where the whole team kind of looked bad. But, Paul George looked great. So I think people said I was crazy for my rant. But it's time to put some respect on his name. It was one bad bubble situation. He's still Paul George.
Well, when it comes to Paul George, this is the regular season, so I don't care what he does in the regular season. We'll talk again once it gets hotter out and postseason comes around. But again, just getting on the Phoenix Suns, amazing start. They look good, and they're going to be a tough out wherever they finish.
Yeah, they've started off a little better than I expected. I expected them to getting CP over there. Like I said, they also went 8-0 in the bubble, so adding CP and Jay Crowder to that, I expected them to kind of keep that going. Like you said, everywhere CP has gone, he has won. And the Suns been needed a point guard. We talk about that a lot. They've tried to fill that spot multiple times. But I think with CP, they kind of hit the ground running. I think you see what CP was able to do last year. I think he learned from last year kind of how to adjust to playing with these younger guys and dealing with these younger guys and things like that. So they're going to be a tough out. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep it up and stay that high. But they might want to if they really want to kind of make some noise here.
Yeah, for sure. But I think they're going to end up making noise regardless. Like they legit could be a second round team. Like in the West is tough. See, that's not a definitive, but the way they look right now is going to be crazy. I mean, Devin Booker's been lighting it up since he's gotten to the league. I was talking to somebody, it was just like I'm not straight up comparing him to Kobe, but a lot of aspects in his game remind me of Kobe. Like the scoring aspect is definitely one of them, the way he attacks the game. And Kobe was one of his mentors too, so to have him and pair him up with a point guard like Chris Paul, like we're seeing the fruits of that now.
Yeah, definitely. And then you saw he was able to do in the bubble. His scoring has always been there, especially since he came into the league. He came off the bench at Kentucky, but since he came into the league, he was scoring. He had, I think, 72 in his second season. So the scoring was always going to be there. It's just when was the winning kind of going to be able to come along? And we thought Phoenix hasn't surrounded him with the right coaches, right pieces, and things like that. So it looks like they're finally getting it right. So I'm not not too surprised. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. But we got anything else before we get out of here?
Who do you think is the best player in the league right now? It's a random question.
LeBron.
Think it's still LeBron?
Yep.
I'm going with KD.
No. I don't feel like arguing.
I'm going with KD. I think KD's the best player in the league.
Seem a little biased, but
I think not.
Can't wait till they match up, man. Can't wait till they match up.
Also, Wiggins. Now that the Warriors are looking better, Wiggins 2021 is back on. It's a new year.
Wiggins 2021 was never a thing. He kept saying Wiggins 2020, and it just didn't work out. So we're in 2021 now.
It got ruined, so now it's Wiggins 2021. So yeah,
right.
Now the Warriors, with Draymond there and Curry going off, is gonna make it a lot easier for him. So he's looked good the last 2 games, so don't count Wiggins out.
All right, we'll wait and see, man. We will wait and see. We got some big interviews coming up. Some top tier wrestling prospects will be coming on here, so look out for that towards the end of the week. And yeah, man, it was a great week. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. NFL playoffs coming up, a bunch of great wrestling action coming up. We'll see you guys next time, man. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.